car will be in the area and Hezekiah Road to respond.
Oh man, it's crazy tonight. It's crazy tonight. Let me show you what I'm talking about. We have protests that are happening all over the country that are just setting up right now. If you have not heard from the news, I'm sorry, let me turn down. I've got police scanner going. I've got everything running right here. I've got an extra iPad. I've got 3 iPads, 2 computers, an Apple TV, my phone, the burner phone. We're trying to watch everything at the same time, and I just don't have enough screens. What's happening, if you have not heard, I do apologize. I'm not going to have chat on the screen today. I'm not going to have chat. First of all, there's going to be some stuff on the stream. If you're not up for possibly some graphic images and maybe some very rough language, this may not be the stream for you. It's not going to be coming from me, but we are following live events on the street for people who are very upset. They're very angry. There's a lot of emotion tonight. It's reaching a boiling point in several different cities. We're watching right now. You can see in this picture right here above me. This is New York City. We're looking down at protesters who've already been surrounding police officers. The police are moving in on that one. I can zoom in on that, I think. Let's see, that's box 3. That's this guy right here. People just milling about as it's getting started. Already the police are taking action. We've seen a couple people get pulled out of there as the police are sort of preemptively trying to stop everything. Also, we've got in Memphis, we've got protests happening up here where the protesters have blocked off a bridge. They're stopping the traffic. And you ask, what is this for, right? What is this all about? Well, here's what's happened. The Memphis police, just at 7 o'clock today, at 7 o'clock, they released the body camera footage of 5 police officers beating Tyre Nichols almost to death. He died 3 days later in the hospital. The footage, I've looked at it. You do not want to see it. It's awful. It makes me ill. It makes me sick to watch it. It is not anything that any police force should be proud of. The 5 officers involved have all been fired. All 5 have been charged criminally. But the footage just came out today, and this is the first time the public's seen it, and it is awful. It is the worst of society. Unfortunately, it's being perpetrated by 5 police officers on one person who, by many accounts was pretty much an easygoing guy and was not a threat. It's awful. It's awful. I can tell you where it's at, but I would recommend you don't watch it. I had to skip parts. It's too rough. Anyway, I'm going to bring in some audio. There's going to be language in here. I can't control the language, so I will warn you. This is from Memphis right here that we're bringing in right now. But we've got, let's see, I'm going to try to follow the chat on my computer here, so I do apologize. It's a little different for me from how I'm set up to watch this. But let me first, actually, before we take this, let me go back just a little bit in time, because we had earlier today in Atlanta. I want to show you this. This is Atlanta. We had. We turn down the police scanner just for a second. This is the National Guard getting set for tonight in Atlanta. They've already had this last weekend. They had quite a few violent protests. The National Guard has moved in. They're basically. I think they've declared sort of an emergency until February 9th regarding this. So they're going to be here for the long haul every weekend, this weekend, next weekend. It's probably not going to be pretty, but you can see they're deploying, they're staging outside the city. They're hoping for peaceful protests, but that's not what happens typically. What happens is you get a lot of people that are protesting peacefully, and they get infiltrated by people who are troublemakers, who want to stir things up. These are the weapons being issued right here. You see they're being handed pistols. So they're you can watch really carefully. You can see right there. There's your gun. There you go. All right. So the National Guard is gearing up. They hopefully that will not. They won't have to use force. But we have seen a lot of violence. We've seen some looting already today, as liquor stores have been hit pretty hard by people basically dressed all in black. Troublemakers, backpacks, filling up backpacks full of liquor bottles, which might be used for, say, like Molotov cocktail type things, which is sort of like the MO of some of these individuals. that being said, let's see. Let's go back to 4 boxes here and see what we've got. Come on. Oh, helps if I switch to it, huh? Why is it not working? There we go. Sorry, everything's running a little slow. I've got it bogged down just a tiny bit. Let's see on comments here how we're doing. I'm going to bring in the police scanner here in the back. It is Memphis. They're shouting, say his name, Tyre. Say his name, Tyre. Tyre was the individual who was killed. I was literally beaten to death by 5 police officers. There's body camera image. There's a pole-mounted camera that captured this. 4 different videos were captured this event, and it's devastating to watch. It's soul-crushing is what it is. It's awful. Okay, I'm trying to follow this. Right now, here's what I'll tell you. The family has come out and said, we want protests. We want protests in every city across the U.S., but we want peaceful protests. They said, please, please. Tyre was a peaceful person. He would not want violence. So the protests we're seeing here are peaceful. This is the kind of protest that family has called for. Unfortunately, we've already seen that there are some bad actors the police are trying to pick out before it happens. But as this moves along, as the crowd moves to like their final destination as far as the protest goes, they tend to get infiltrated by individuals who are looking for trouble, and maybe their purpose is not to accomplish the goal that the crowd is chanting for and cheering for and calling for, but more so their purpose is to cause mayhem and destruction, maybe have an opportunity to commit a crime that could profit them. So let's see here.
We are currently actually waiting on mayor's privilege.
Zoom in here on New York. It's the easiest picture to see. Okay, this particular feed. Let's see. I'm not getting any audio from these guys, so it's probably helicopter footage. But just blocking the road, blocking the traffic, is all that's happening here. Peaceful protest, but we did see the police moving in on scooters earlier. The crowd sort of agitated around a police car, but let's see. I'm not sure. Is that somebody in a Statue of Liberty costume?
Wells has been holding 2 hours. Complainant Jasmine Wright advised hit and run to her 2012 Honda Civic burgundy color. 4432 Sumner's Wells, last for the CAD 1870921.
The police are staying back as long as it's peaceful. They move in when they spot some troublemakers and go for a grab and try to take people out. They've already grabbed a couple of them. Weather Watch, thank you for 5 more gifted memberships. Man, you're amazing. I'm not sure if I can see who received. Oh yeah, Shell, Sinster Soldier, Natalie Lintz, Sharebear, and Barnett, law student. Congratulations on getting a gifted membership. If you type, I have to turn on the commands. Give me a second here.
Black pants in the
we'll get this working here. Just 1 second.
Offices, I know what he's up to. I'm trying to send him back to see. She's not around every boulevard at Bessemer Park.
Okay. Commands are working. So now you can take your seat in the front row, which gives you the best view if you're a member. You want Mother Speaks volume? Let's see. Let's go camera 2.
Rescue 500 area.
I'm not seeing the Mother Speaks here. That's camera 5. Both camera 5 and camera 2 are in the same spot, basically, just different people in the crowd. Hey, Weather Watch, let me see if I can bring you in. Just 1 second. Takes a second for me to get set up here. I apologize.
Yeah, I know. Dark too. No, I'll go back over here.
225, 901 is first exit food.
Okay, I'm a little hectic here. There's a lot happening, so I do apologize. Okay, Weather Watch, I'm ready for you to pop in. I think if you want. Let's see. There.
2019 Toyota Yaris, Darrington, B-Tech, Toyota is like 2637, road
All right. I don't know where to put you, Weather Watch. Hang on just 1 second. Let's go back to 4 boxes. I'm going to put you in the bottom right-hand corner. Just 5 seconds. We'll have you here. And 3.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me? I'll turn down.
Perfect.
I'm going to turn down a couple of the audio feeds. What's your take on tonight?
Yeah, so first and foremost, pickles, not politics, right?
Yeah, really.
But so I know we have a lot of pro-Leo and against Leo in our community, and I understand both stances. Just so everyone in chat knows, I come from a big Leo family. My dad is 45 years.
Hang on 1 second. I've got an audio that's just drowning you out. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Sound check. We good now?
Yeah, you're good. I just had a lot of volume from another feed.
Okay, perfect. So I come from a big Leo family. My dad was 45 years, now retired. I went to Tickle School here in Texas, about to become Leo. I stopped when everything kind of changed and law enforcement was kind of getting attacked, things like that. I will say my father was super anti-bad law enforcement. And that's why I really appreciate what he did. And that's why I wanted to become a law enforcement officer, because we loved to do good for the people and the service. And the whole reason I started to become a police officer is not because of my dad. I wasn't intrigued by his profession growing up. It was because of the bad. I wanted to be a good police officer. So when you see things like this, it's just it's so bad. It's bad for the image. It's bad for policing. It's bad for everything. There's so many professions where there are bad professionals in that profession. But unfortunately, when you're law enforcement, if you're bad in that, it's even worse. It just really is, because of the power they have. So I think this is terrible. I saw the footage too. And it's absolutely absurd. And there's two sides to the spectrum, right? You've got people that say, don't run, don't do this. But what they did, it's inexcusable. Yeah. And I'm one of the most pro-Leo people you will ever find. Yeah. And this is absolutely disgusting of what took place, and I hate it. And then the catch-22, the flip side, you were talking about it there in the intro, there's going to be people taking advantage of these riots and the advantages of the distractions and everything that are just have nothing to do with it, don't care about the cause, that are now breaking and vandalizing and stealing, things like that. It's just a mess, and it's unfortunately that's just kind of human nature and where we are in society. But without getting too deep, just kind of being vulnerable here and letting everyone know I'm super pro-Leo, but this is unacceptable.
Yeah, and you know, we watch car chases together, right? The police chases, and there's a lot of the, you know, get the bad guy, pit him type thing. in a way, I'm not going to say it the way you've probably heard it, but there's this whole mess around and find out sort of attitude, you know, when it comes to people that break the law, and just be like, hey, you know, you do this at your own peril, right? Let me see if I can get rid of this. But when you're watching the video, if you do watch this video with Tyre, he does run from the police. He's sort of like a little belligerent, but in like a hey man, take it easy sort of way. And I will admit I didn't watch it all because I was sick. I was physically sick watching it. But the officers basically held him down and beat him, type thing, and taking turns. And it makes me ill. My stomach churns just watching it.
Yeah, it's bad. So a real life example. So my dad, when he was in the prime of his career, he was actually dispatched to the Rodney King riots. He was a San Diego County Sheriff's officer, dispatched to LA, and they would work almost 24 hours straight during the riots. And if they needed a break, they would have to drive in their patrol car 30 to 45 minutes east out of LA so they could go nap in their patrol cars. And those naps would last 10 minutes because people there would beat on his windshield, on his car, and try to do things they didn't have any involvement in anything. There were stores and things being robbed and stolen from that had nothing to do with the cause, if you will, right? So his stories, he told me he felt safer having to drive back into the heat of the riots to do crowd control and other things like that versus being 45 minutes or an hour away from the people that had no involvement. And again, he shared with me after the fact of, you know, how terrible that event was and how unwarranted it is and how bad it was. So again, I'm not here defending these police officers, and I'm not saying they did everything right and this and that. I'm here saying I'm very pro positive law enforcement and very much so against law enforcement and policing.
Yeah, and here's what I'll say. This is not a riot. What we're seeing here, this is a protest. And although I have a hard time with some of these protests that affect so many people who are not the victim. I mean, there are people who are trying to get to a hospital to visit their dying parent that are stuck now in traffic, right? I mean, it's an imaginary situation, but that's the type of scenario. There are people who are affected by this. I don't believe it's right to punish everyone, but at the same time, this is a group of people that feel like they have not been heard, right? Like they don't have a voice, and they say we've been quiet too long, and they want to be heard. And I do believe in peaceful protests. I'm just worried that the way this is starting already with disrupting things is raising the temperature. The pot's boiling, basically, and people are going to snap. There's going to be somebody in the car that just gets mad and honks and says, fine, I'm driving through them, type thing. And we've seen that in other protests. And it just, I wish people could protest without, I don't know, can I have it both ways? Can we have peaceful protest and action? Or does it require, these drastic measures to get something done?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I agree completely. Can we please have peaceful protests that draw results versus going over the top? An example was earlier, I think in your intro, you showed a video where a bridge is being blocked. That breaks my heart because just an hour and a half ago, my father-in-law was being rushed to the ER because of medical issues. And if his ambulance is crossing that bridge that's blocked by protesters, what happens to him? It's hard. It's a big catch-22 on how you draw the attention and you make your voice heard and getting results versus, inserting, things to those that are not involved at all. But that's the world we live right now, and it is what it is at the moment, and you hate to see it. But again, I definitely appreciate those that exercise their right to be heard. But if we could do it peaceful and congregate in that manner, that would be just more beneficial, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I will say, I can't watch these videos and say nothing needs to be done, everything's good, it's fine. Oh my goodness! I think the right steps have been taken already with the 5 officers being fired first of all and charged criminally. That's the first step. I do believe in the justice system. You know me; I'm a true crime fan, but I love the court system. I think that the system we have is the best method for guilty people to be punished and innocent people to be, exonerated. But I believe that we should let that system play out. As best it can. It's not perfect, but I think it's the best system we have. Trying to look at some comments here. Sherry says, geez, don't call me. How long have you been live streaming? Just a few minutes. We just barely started here about 20 minutes ago, Sherry. I apologize. I can't put videos on the screen just because it's I'm using everything a little differently, so I'm a little bit lost here. A majority of people protest peacefully, says let it be summer, and they do. And these people are not the trouble. These people are not the problem. They probably, a lot of these were planned. Some of these are permitted protests, right? That have police presence there that are there to protect the protesters from any counter protesters or anything. And they're going to do their thing. They're going to march. They're going to chant. They're going to hold their signs. They're going to deliver a demand letter. They're going to call for justice. Everything they're going to do, and that's great, and it's fine. The problem is, as this wears on, as it gets later into the night, we tend to see that as tensions rise, the bad actors come out, and that's when it's just going to get bad.
You're exactly right. It's nothing against the protesters, those that want their voices to be heard, those that want to seek justice and have change. It's the bad actors that piggyback off the attention and or the distraction and take advantage of. So, amen. Nothing wrong with the protesters and those doing what they're doing. It's those that come in with foul play after the fact or cause destruction and violence and things like that as subsidiary from the protests.
Weatherwatch, are you gifting memberships as you're a guest on the show simultaneously? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I figured I'd throw one in there since this is a fairly heated stream compared to normal. So I figured I'd keep some happiness flowing as we do it.
Yeah. If people have questions, realize I'm like Weatherwatch said, I'm a pickles not politics guy, right? So I try not to take a hard political issue that I know that even though it's important, and I do have a political stance, I believe these discussions are important, but it's really hard to have them effectively in this venue where we can't listen to each other and really express ourselves the way we can. You guys are limited to, 160 characters in your chat. I can say anything I want, but I might not hear what you say or the way you said it. I prefer to have another venue to have these discussions. But I believe it's important to talk about it here a little bit. So hopefully we can do that in a civil way and maybe answer some questions that way. Do you see any questions in chat? I've got a little tiny screen for chat, so I'm squinting to see it.
No, I agree with you too. I think discussions are important, whether it's religion, politics, wherever. But the internet's not the right forum, right? Like you said, we're limited to 200 characters. There's no context. You don't have the tone of voice behind it. There's been so many times I've conveyed a message or even received one, and it was offensive, but yet it was not intended to be so whatsoever. So I agree. Everyone here has opinions, their beliefs, their religions, whatever you take. That's what makes the world go round. It would be boring if we all believed the exact same thing and never, had debates. There's a real good reason why there's debate teams in high schools. It's healthy. It's important. But the internet, with no context, with no tone of voice, everything's just not the right place. So I agree. And I think that's why so many people love this channel, because a lot of people on this channel disagree or have different viewpoints. But I think a lot of people are respectful about that, and they don't go personal and they don't attack. And I think that's why you've grown so quick and why you have such a good following, because everyone here is so respectful about that.
Yeah. And I think most of us, even those we do have some people that have are very polarized on the channel that might be in a minority or take a position that's a lot of us might not hold. But I personally think that being able to have that discussion makes us better people, because I don't know everything as much as I like to think I do, okay? Or as much as I tell people that I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm not. And my limited experience that I have with the world is how I view everything. And other people might have a vast experience in an area that I think I'm knowledgeable in, and if I just shut them down and say nope, that's not how I think, I'm losing the opportunity to really gain perspective and learn. And that's why I like to have differing opinions, even if they're a little bit hostile sometimes in chat. If we can do it civilly. Mr. Upper Torso says, we can have convictions while still holding space for others to have their own view. It doesn't have to be war. It's an exchange of ideas. 100% agree, Upper Torso. 100%.
100% agree with that. I will say, since I've joined your channel and watched it religiously, I myself have been, and always have been, an extremely judgmental individual and very strong-willed. I have gained a lot more patience and have learned a lot about certain faults in myself or things that I'm more accepting to, just by reading and watching and interacting in chat with some of the people that are in there. It's been an absolutely amazing experience. It's been polarizing, and I think that's why the community that we're in here with is so much fun.
Somehow I managed to get two of the same pictures in here, so I'm trying to fix that. Give me just 1 second. I'm not stalling, but I am. Let's see. I need camera 4 needs to be something else. Man, this is harder than I thought it would be. Let me say that. Needs to be 6 down there. There we go. Okay. I think most of the activity is in Memphis. I'm going to turn up the police scanner just a little bit because that's probably going to be our first indication of trouble in the city. So that's going to be in the background. If the noise gets too bad, we can turn this down. Let's see.
227.
Praying for peaceful protests and not riots. I agree, Jill. I think especially as this as these protests spread across the country, as it gets dark, as the work day is over and people go and are available on the weekends to have time to protest, especially goes towards the West Coast. I think we're unfortunately going to see some people taking advantage of the situation a little bit. Portland Trailblazers TV says, thank you for the free membership, Weather Watch. It's awesome.
You're welcome, Portland. Absolutely. Happy to share the fun community. It's such a good community, so we want people to stick around as long as they can.
Debbie, this is not a riot. All the video we're seeing here, I've lost the feed from New York. The helicopter probably went to get fuel. But everything we've seen has been relatively peaceful. Almost all of them are blocking a street or a bridge somewhere. We're sort of getting 2 videos. Let's see it, actually.
Tennessee Bravo Hotel Delta 5347.
Am I showing the same thing twice, or is that just a very similar perspective? Top left and bottom right. I think it's just very similar.
I think it's very similar because the camera movements are different.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, most of it's in Memphis, so this is where we're hearing the police from as well.
It's fun. I'm seeing a lot of comments in chat that are, we can all agree to disagree. It's good to have a voice, but respect. And I love seeing that. It's so true.
I watched the picture right behind me. I watched them block that bridge. There was a FedEx truck that was right in front of that white semi. And the FedEx truck got through, and that white semi had to stop. So if your package arrives on time, it's because they let it through. But everybody else is going to be delayed. Hopefully this will probably only go for a couple hours tonight. And a lot of times the protesters tend to move from one location to another as they try to achieve different purposes.
Yeah, they like to chase hot spots and where the activity is and what's going where.
Let's see. Somebody said Seattle's got some pretty vocal people yelling downtown. AJ, if you do see a feed somewhere, a stream from a city that has something you'd like us to follow on live, if you can send it to my burner phone, and then just put a message in the chat so I make sure I see it, that would be great. Let's see. My son had to go with the National Guard
We've got
to
one.
control riots. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that's what I just saw from Dilly Pickles.
Yeah,
you got it.
Dilly Pickles says, my son had to go with the National Guard to control riots a couple of years ago in our state. Definitely experience with being stateside. Yeah, the National Guard, they're not like some outside force who's not connected. They're our neighbors, right? They're family members. They're people like you and me who are then called to help bring peace to, when they're up there with their neighbors trying to control, the community. But I'm glad most of the time the National Guard seems to be very, very reserved in the actions they take. Put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's important to remember for all of us on the outside kind of looking in, all of our opinions are based off of experience, right? So if you've had a rough upbringing, whatever your story is, right? You've had a tough run-in with the law, their opinion is going to be a little bit different than someone else. Let's say myself, who was born and raised in a law enforcement family, right? So that's why it's so difficult to try to convince or change minds of others. But I'll say this, I'm fortunate that my father was in law enforcement for so long, and he taught me a whole lot about it, and he talked to me about his disgust with poor law enforcement. I've learned so much from those that have been convicted or have been down the other side as well, and their experiences of that also. So I just think that's important to remember, that everyone's opinions are based off of real life experience and what they've been through. That's how they get formed, and that's where they come from. It doesn't make them wrong by any means. They may differ, absolutely. You may not believe it. But it doesn't need to resort to, the name calling or the putting down. It's just realizing, well, that's their experience, that's where they come from, and that's the life they've lived versus the life I've lived, or vice versa. Again, I always go back to, I think that's truly what makes the world go round. If we all had the same exact belief and behaved the same exact way, I feel like life would be a little bit boring.
Yep. I'm not gonna. I see a couple chat messages in the chat. I'm not gonna show the video. It's gruesome. Every single video has the warning at the front. It says, warning, this might trigger you. Some people find these images offensive. I don't know a person who wouldn't find those images offensive. It's not pretty at all. It's the worst of society coming out from people who should be protecting and serving.
Yep, 100% agree. It's gruesome. It's disgusting. It's damaging to law enforcement for those that truly care to protect and serve. It's unbelievable. I can't believe it.
So it looks like the individuals on the bridge are pretty laid back. I don't see anyone agitated. I don't hear a lot of horn honking right now. I mean, it's only been probably about 45 minutes that they've been stopped. But they seem to be either supportive or enough to understand the purpose of this.
I agree. Protest. There's a comment real quick. Catlaw says, at whether there's chats about these 5 murders, not about all cops. I absolutely agree. I'm making a few broad statements for individuals out there who feel one way or the other. I've put myself out there saying that I'm a big law enforcement supporter, advocate, etc. So I'm just giving my opinion or my statements for those who are taking this situation and making it more broad. But I do agree. This chat in this stream currently is about these 5 law enforcement officers who have murdered this young man.
Weather Watch, if I'm the first person to say it, I'll be pretty happy. But you sound really good on the live stream. Did you get a new microphone?
I did. Happy birthday to me. I got a new mic and audio equipment, as you know, and thanks to you for helping me get it set up. I have some tweaks and changes to make, but very, very excited. Made a few weather video demos last night before my channel gets up and running, just to get it tested. So
I can't wait to see it. That's going to be amazing.
We're on our way for the spring Weather Watch channel, hopefully. We'll see.
Just looking, I've got a couple other, looks like Phoenix may have some activity as well. Oh no, they're showing the same thing we're showing here. All the news stations are pretty much showing what's happening in Memphis. There's from what I've heard, there's groups in Washington, D.C., they're in Atlanta, they're in Memphis. Sounds like there's something happening starting in Seattle. But as far as the states that, let's see if I can pull it up here. Let's see, I need that picture. Just one second. The states that were planning protests are right here. I'm going to cover you up just for a second, Weather Watch. Hopefully it won't turn your audio off. So you're on 3. You should be good. Come on. Okay, it just got quiet. Weather Watch, can you still hear me? I can't hear you. Let me turn your audio back on. Hang on. Okay. I think I've got you back. So this is from Raw Alerts, tweeted this out. All the cities, or all the states in the red had planned protests tonight, this weekend, about this. So you can see, about a third of the states are represented here. Quite a few people are expecting that pretty much across the country. So these are the cities we might see something happening tonight.
Well, at a glance, I thought you were sharing a National Weather Service site, so I pulled up my radar real quick to see what severe weather's going around. I realized that's not what it was.
That's funny because let's switch back to here. The weather plays a big part in protests, especially in the violent ones. Nobody likes to protest when it's sleeting down and hailing. Is there anything coming nationwide that might tamper some of these protests down across the country?
So there is actually some more winter weather moving in, especially in some of the northern states, whether it be snow. I think Montana, Wyoming as well. There's supposed to be another 4 to 8 inches. And then outside of that, if you're not getting snow, there's going to be cold blasts moving in over the next 3 days. Even down here into Oklahoma, North Texas, we're supposed to get freezing rain and sleet coming in. But that's going to be dragged out a little bit later. So yeah, some of those more northern cities, they may see something over the next couple days, depending on how long the protests take place. But a lot of the other cities that were on that map, from west to east coast, near central, and then south, they'll probably be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. We've had enough bad weather for a little while, so good weather is all right.
Yeah, it finally quieted down. I was the last couple of days. If you were going to ask me to come on and give an update, I was kind of glad to be like, well, there's not a whole lot to update on right now, and which is glad. I could give my 18 different forecasts and maps and reviews and everything a rest for a little bit.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Lee here, I apologize. I had the audio muted for super chats, but you came in with a super sticker. Thank you very much for that, for the super sticker and the support. Let's see. I'm trying to find any questions. Yeah, let it be summer.
Not a lot of questions.
Sounds like you've
just a lot of discussion.
You've watched the videos yourself. You can't forget that. I mean, we've seen a couple videos like this. I mean, if you dating all the way back to Rodney King, I guess that was pretty much the first time that that cameras really documented a situation where police crossed the line in a big way. And that sort of was like the benchmark. And then since then we've had George Floyd and so many others that and some of them are I would say are not the perfect victim, right? You've got individuals that maybe were doing something wrong, but the police still crossed the line or had the wrong approach or the wrong response. But
yeah, sadly, to your point, you mentioned Rodney King when cameras were available, right? They had helicopters, had everything else. It breaks my heart to think about how many times this may have happened pre that era, right? So I'm glad body cam or body worn cameras are coming out more and more and more in smaller departments. Example, the town I live in right now, we have 120,000 people population, maybe a little more. Finally, all 100% of officers and local sheriffs are going to be given those, which is fantastic. It's great for both parties. It protects, potential suspects as well as officers. But as technology increases, I'm hoping it helps cases like these, because this one is just absolutely devastating.
Yeah. Keisha was asking, why was the video released? Full disclosure, public's right to know. Keisha, it depends on the state. Just to give you a perspective, I'm in North Carolina, and North Carolina is a shall not issue state. They're so protective with body camera footage that family members of the deceased victim, if they were involved in a police shooting, have the right to view the video but not get copies of it, and they can't release it or anything else. They protect the police footage like it's gold. Other states like Florida, California are like a shall issue state. and they'll retain the video while they need to, and then they will release it. So some states are more open than others. Obviously, when there's a big public outcry and pressure, that does encourage the state to release it, so it doesn't appear like they're hiding something. I just want to say, a couple of you are asking for the link. I can give it to you, but my recommendation is not to watch it. You won't be able to unsee what you see, and you'll be sick to your heart from watching it. But that being said, I'll provide the link, and you're all grown up, so you can make your own decision there. But I don't recommend it. But there it is. It is Vimeo. There are 4 videos. You don't need to watch it all. I'll tell you that. You don't need to see it all to know that this was not right. Yeah. I'd recommend
High-speed drifter. Yeah, trigger warning for sure on the footage. High-speed drifter, great comment. I saw the footage. Unfortunately, the victim did struggle a lot against his arrest, but that's no excuse for the beating that he took. And, that's exactly right. There's a way to go about proper arrests and things like that. It's definitely no excuse. Should he resist? Nope, shouldn't do it. But to have 4 officers who are trained, verse 1, absolutely no excuse.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like one of our cameramen moving down the line. I wonder if we're going to get some feedback from people who are stuck in traffic, maybe an interview or something. Trying to see what the signs are.
Do you have audio on that feed, Scott?
Yeah, I can bring it up here.
I'm wondering if it's an interview from a trucker or somebody.
Looks like he's just moving around right now. Trying to watch a couple other feeds at the same time, but some of them were dropping as fast as I can pick them up. Oklahoma will typically keep the video until the closing of the case. Something like this, I feel it was proper to release the video, says Dilly Pickles. Some of these chants are going to have some curse words in them. Just to let you know. So the cheers, they're saying whose streets are streets, and something will shut it down. So that their goal is to cause a disruption right now to bring awareness to their issue. But that being said, they're not destroying property. They're just blocking everyone else's ability to move and travel.
Right. That's how they feel they make their voice heard, right? Versus sitting out on the Capitol stairs and chanting with signs. They feel if they, unfortunately, some of this is a disruption when they're blocking bridges and traffic. So they feel that's how they actually get the attention of the leaders that can make decisions over issues like this.
Okay, if anybody has seen a feed that we should take on here to watch, Weather Watch, you don't need to gift memberships. It's just having you here is good enough. But now 15 of you have been gifted memberships. Fetal DD, the Dole one. Let's see who else got. I'm not sure if we have any more non-members left. You guys have been gifting so many memberships. Exploited Innocence.
There we go. One more.
We're waiting for someone to join who's not a member to can get the last one.
Better be. It's been in my cold bag.
CG, I see your comment. I'll go back and watch again. Absolutely. I'm not, trust me, I'm not trying to victim blame or anything like that. I'll go back and watch multiple more videos in different angles. I completely understand that viewpoint.
Yeah. He did, I would say this, he didn't follow their commands. Like, he didn't lay down on their stomach when they told him to lay down on his stomach. That being said, he had officers holding every appendage, right?
Right.
And it wasn't a fight. It was like, hey, I'm laying here on my side type thing. You should follow the instructions of the officer. Hey, look, we get to see somebody's phone. Looks like their battery's getting low, 20%.
Right.
Justice for who? Justice for who?
Trying to find another feed, and everyone's trying to show the same feed here.
Yeah, I keep seeing that too. I've closed out some of the ones that I've had on mine.
Justice for who? Justice for who?
CG, absolutely. I'm open to all viewpoints and things like that. Again, that's why I love the chat and the community and the people in here. Because from what I saw, might not be the absolute and the only. So I'm happy to look at other viewpoints and learn from everything we can.
I think I've got a new camera here. Let's check this one out.
Apologies if you get any background noise. Someone's home and the dogs are starting to go nuts. So if that goes to the feed, tell me if I need to mute or
you're
turn
good.
off my audio.
We've got plenty of background noise, so we're good. Where you won't notice it all. The thing you want to watch for in these protests, generally the agitators, the ones that are causing problems, that will be smashing windows and throwing the Molotov cocktails and everything, are the ones that are usually dressed all in black with their face covered as well. That seems to be like the uniform for troublemakers. Generally have backpacks or a stick or a skateboard or something like that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I am 100% pro peaceful protest. When the vandalism and the damages and everything come into play, I hate it. It makes me think of people like Ivan, in our chat, who's a business owner doing everything he can, and his windows are getting smashed in and things stolen and broken and stolen. He has nothing to do with all that. So I agree with that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh. This is more work than I thought it would be. Holy cow. There we go. Trying to get the feeds up and running.
There's just so much going on.
And they pop up and drop so quickly. Trying to follow everything is a little tough.
Right.
Michelle says people need to comply with the police officers. Police officers need to up their training across the USA, especially in de-escalating. I would say not just de-escalating, but also in handling mentally ill patients or people who are having an episode, basically, where they're maybe not making decisions as they normally would. The ability to recognize somebody in that sort of state of distress and respond appropriately is key, and always going to the lethal force type thing. It's the safest thing for the officer, but it's not necessarily the best thing for the public.
Yeah, I agree. I'll be the first to admit that, like I said, I went through TCOL school here and was going to be a law enforcement officer myself in the state of Texas, and I chose not to. And I'm so glad I chose not to, because I don't handle a lot of situations the proper way. So for whatever reason or another, and I didn't do it, I'm glad I didn't.
I don't even know where I'm getting this audio from. I cannot turn it off. It's coming somewhere.
I'm not getting on my end, but that's only because I've got you through Zoom. I have the stream muted, so Zoom only. I'd love to get some opinions. I know we have a lot of friends and family in chat, typically that are from, overseas in other countries. Their opinions on what they're seeing and what they think about it, and if they experience this on their end or not, something like that. If anyone's in chat, put it in there.
Lee asked a question. Here's the question no one wants to address: is how do you police an armed society? Lee, I don't know where you're from, so I don't know your background for the question perspective. United States, though, we're a people that's written deep in our Constitution, so like at our foundation level is a safeguard for the ownership of firearms for the individual. The Second Amendment protects the right for individuals to own guns, as most people understand it currently, as the courts have interpreted it. So if you accept that, then basically the problem isn't the gun so much as the perpetrator, right? So that's the belief there on that system. There are other people who say without guns you wouldn't have any shootings, right? And yeah, that's true. But look at England, who has banned guns, and I know we've got a lot of people in England over there, and look at what the statistics did with knife attacks following the banning of guns over there, and how fast that escalated, and how that just, basically that they shifted to another demographic. So I'd say that it's not just the weapon that's a problem. What do you think on the armed populace?
Yeah, that's the golden question, especially in the United States, right? That everyone wants to ask, and the big debate. I am a pro 2A myself. I own multiple firearms. It's a very difficult thing to govern. I'm seeing one right now. It says the better question is, how do you police armed, violent police? It's another great question. It's a lot of people say it's a bailout, and I would agree to an extent, but my view on it is I hate it, but people are people. You can't control them. I understand we have to hold law enforcement to a higher regard and a higher standard, absolutely. But how do you control an individual who might be in a power position, who just had the worst day of his life for whatever reason? His wife affair and left him and this and that, and he's going to duty. I'm not saying it's an excuse by any means. If he does something poor, he has to be held responsible. But human nature is tough to control regardless of what you do. And the reason I am not a power person, I am not a politician, I'm not law enforcement, is because I don't have the answers to that, and I don't know how to deal with it. So I have a day job, and I'm a pretend weatherman for those very purposes.
I think if you look at the little microcosm that we have, our channel in here, and the community we have, that might be part of the answer, right? If we could all, if we as those who come and watch the Recovery Addict show and make the chat such a fun place and a welcoming place, if we did that in our society around us with everyone that we met, if we treated everyone the same way, we didn't call people names or flip people off when they cut us off on the freeway and just said, oh, they're probably having a bad day, it's all right, just calm down, everything's good. I think that's part of the answer, that we as society bear the burden, and it's not squarely on the shoulders of the police. Just like with education, it's not something you could just throw money at to fix the problem. It's not, if you had more weapons or more equipment, we could control this problem. I think we as a people individually have a responsibility to bear, to say, I have a part to play in this, and although I can't individually fix it, I can fix what's around me. I can make my neighborhood a little bit better. I can be friends with my neighbors and know what's going on and smile at somebody, when they're having a bad day, and that might just be all they needed to say, what, today's not so bad. I guess I'm not gonna, drive at 75 miles an hour recklessly down the freeway. That just changed my day. So I think that's part of the answer. I'm not sure if it's the whole answer.
I would tend to agree with you. I mean, you've got 5.5 thousand subscribers. So if everyone smiled and gave hugs as your sign-off line from every stream, made their bubble a little bit happier, they contributed to that. Those are a lot of bubbles, right? That really helps. I agree. Is that the real answer to, solving the world's problem and violence and evil and things like that? No. But would it help? Absolutely. Again, like I said, since becoming a member of your channel and getting to know all the people in this chat, all of them are incredible. Some I disagree with, but they're still incredible people, and I like chatting with them. I myself have learned patience driving. I would have acted out certain ways, and I stop and I just go, and just let them go. And so it's a testament to the channel for what you put together and the people in here, where I've seen it a bunch. People have learned to agree and disagree in this channel very respectfully. There's only a couple people I've seen that have had to block a person or two.
The mods have the easiest 5,000. Job on this channel. Seriously. I don't feel like it's something I've done, because I feel like I've found the community that existed out there already. And I sort of just slid in and was welcomed warmly by you guys. And it's each one of you. I say it wouldn't be the same without you, and I mean that. It's each one of you that makes it good. It's what you bring, the hellos, the smiles, the funny jokes, and everything. I feel like that if I had met you on the street, or we had been in line at the supermarket and we turned around, I'm like, hey, how's it going? We would have been friends, right? We would have had something in common, and it just seems I've found a lot of friends here. And I appreciate all you guys for that. Let's see. Michelle Johnson says, Scott, i.e. Recovery Addict, I appreciate your broadcasting this, as difficult it is. However, I'm glad people i.e., we are continuing to talk about this important topic. Right? We can't just ignore it. We can't just all sit around and sing Kumbaya and say, "Isn't life wonderful? It's good." When I was watching the news. I was watching these feeds, and there was one news station tonight that was doing a live show from some casino where there was just like people just dripping in jewels, whose life is arguably fairly easy on the financial end, and just enjoying it, socializing and everything. And at the same time, you got people out here wailing, saying, another person was killed, that shouldn't have been. And we've got this disconnect and dichotomy that we need to be aware of each other and talk about this. We can't just ignore it. So thank you for that comment.
I think that's a great comment. We can't ignore it and just get away from it. I mean, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably going to be the most, I should say controversial, but most extreme stream you've probably had, and discussions. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some people in the chat that are offended and don't like some of the things they're hearing. People in chat amongst themselves are probably going to have debates that we've never really had on this channel. But again, I think debating, not arguing, is a healthy thing. Again, I go back to that's why high schools have debate teams. It teaches people how to express their opinions in respectful manners and respect, opinions of others as well.
All right, I am pleasantly surprised that there is not a lot of footage of problems of looting and things like that. Let's see.
Can we discuss subject matter jurisdiction real quick?
That's always appropriate. Why don't you go ahead and take that one for me?
Oh, bless Jennifer Darrow in her heart.
Let's see. I don't know who's. Oh, okay, I found where the audio is coming from. Okay. I'm good. Now I know what to turn down.
This was in New York a little while ago.
So we've got another feed coming in. Let me bring this one in. This is a citizen journalist.
Scott, do you see one of the feeds expired?
Yeah, so, I'll pull that one down here. Just one second.
Gotcha.
I want to show you what
I'll go back to 3 boxes. There we go. The one that expired is it's a live one, but it's he's still dragging some boxes around.
Gotcha.
Who's? Why do we? Oh, I've got Judge Darrow. That's the one you're talking about that expired. Sorry.
Yeah, carried over.
We can always. That's why we're doing subject matter jurisdiction. Somebody brought it up, and you asked, we answered. There it is.
That's right.
Let's see. Let me just bring up Weather Watch here.
Daily Pickles, have a great evening. Thanks for joining the stream late night.
There we go. Now I'm small and you're big. How about that?
Perfect. Matthew Harris, one of the wittiest people in chat all the time.
How do you book Daryl Brooks to appear on the stream? Well, Matthew, when you're as big as I am, they actually come to you. I mean, it's like that would be a thing. Could I call the correctional facility he now resides at and say, could I arrange a little live stream? I don't think I could. I'd bleach my ears. I don't think I could survive long enough through it. Let's see. The only feed I still have going is this global news one. Let me see if I can bring that up and keep your audio at the same time.
We'll be staying on for 1 hour. Early side, we'll be staying on for
How are you on?
Okay. I've got just me and you, RA, right now.
Yeah, that's.
There we go.
This one has no audio yet. Let's bring it on. Let's see how loud and vocal they are. So this one's out of Memphis.
Angie says Boone will be more entertaining for a live feed. I don't think there'll be any arguing in chat about that.
Trying to get my system to work right. It's not liking it.
This is going to be a long night for many cities.
Here we go. So as far as creativity and variations of the chants, there aren't a lot they go through. There's probably like 5 or 6 that get cycled through. Whose streets, our street, say his name, no justice, no peace. They'll also do whose streets, our streets. And these are the same chants we heard. And then you've got the FTP chant, of course. So,
right.
We'll turn them down just a little bit. I'm on the wrong one. No wonder he's not getting quiet. This is hard work. There we go.
Well, yeah, you're getting live feeds, and then they drop in 5 minutes because they stop streaming, and then someone else picks back up. And
it looks like they're walking. They're moving somewhere in this group. So I'm not sure what the destination is. This is out of Memphis that we're watching this one. Let's bring the police scanner up just a little bit as well.
On the only digital 921.
21, you can show us in to report.
Doesn't sound like police are very active either. And maybe that'll be good. Maybe it'll stop. Maybe we can just go to bed and just, have a peaceful protest that ends and everyone goes to bed and nobody gets hurt. And nobody has to spend the night behind bars and it's all good. What do you think?
yeah, no one gets hurt, no one gets arrested, and people are making their voices heard. Real quick, Scott CG says Fox 10 Phoenix has some great footage.
Let's see. I'll pull them in real quick. Fox 10 Phoenix, you said?
Yep. Fox 10 Phoenix. Gordon Blanket Night, 3 a.m. Thanks for hanging in there and with the Recovery Addict channel and watching. We will see you tomorrow.
Okay, so this one... it's coming in windowed like this, and I lost you in the process.
I just received a call from the manager at Walmart at 3950 Ossipee Highway.
Oh, we've got a Walmart sound. Hang on.
They're closed for the evening. They'll be closed until 6 a.m. So if you could have a car routine whenever they can.
That's not
and also on after shift.
In front of the Walmart.
There it is, in front of the Walmart.
Check 923.
Yeah, Johnny Law in comments, great point. It's what Scott and I were talking about earlier. Imagine if these had no footage, back in the day. That's can only help as technology progresses and gets more widespread, that it continues to make a difference and kind of help in situations, especially like this.
424, did you already have a wrist there?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Furthermore, justice is blind, says Natural Empress. I've got a blind justice picture on my banner page because justice should be equal. It shouldn't. You shouldn't look at the person and say, "Well, you look like this," and thus the justice will be different for you. But so it should be blind that way. Okay, so Lindsay is talking about, I think, the officers that were charged. I believe they all have bonded out and they had some pretty low bonds, saying it was $250,000, $350,000. That's I guess it's a murder charge, so I think that's pretty standard, probably for a first offense. Assuming that's the first murder charge any of the officers have faced. I think that's a normal bond for them.
Yeah, that's a pretty average bond for them, and especially for different organizations, unions, programs, law enforcement that you're in, you're going to have people that back you on that they're not going to bondsmen and getting bonded out. They're having their law enforcement insurance basically backing that out. Similar to those that, for those that like to carry firearms for self-defense, you can join programs that if anything ever occurs, you're backed by insurance, things like that. So I think that amount was pretty standard, like you said, for first offense. And it wasn't them or their family that were posting that getting out right away. It was, the insurance they had through the agency backing them up.
Yeah. The Fox 10 feed is helicopter mounted and it's dropping out here, so we'll pick it up here as soon as it comes back. But, there they go. Of course, as soon as I switch off it comes back.
322. What time you see this off?
And this one, they switched to a ground camera. Okay. I think Memphis is going to be the hot spot here.
I'd imagine that should be the hotbed.
Bringing in both the audio from both channels here, so you should have it in stereo now.
Perfect. Let's see.
I like when they sing. I just think protesters singing is like the spirit of Martin Luther. It's just the unity it brings. It's pretty good. I like it better than shouting.
I wish I could hear it. Like I said, I've got the stream muted and only on Zoom, so it's just me and you.
Yeah, let's see. If I send you that, it would make a loop.
It's okay. Hang on, I'll just give it.
They stopped singing. So as soon as you started listening, they stopped.
Nothing. Okay. Showing just direct patrolling Amazon complex.
I noticed that right when I clicked over, but it's okay. I'll rewatch tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to watch the chat just a little closer here.
I've been keeping in mind, there's been a few healthy arguments and not disputes, debates, but no one's gotten too ugly in there, so that's good.
AJ says, all the protests I've seen have been 95% peaceful and amazing, but 5% jerks who just want to start a fight. Yeah, and I think it helps that the family who's really at the center of this has come out and said peaceful protests, peaceful. They even shared a video of their son who was an avid skateboarder just doing tricks at the park. That's what he liked to do. He was just a happy guy. He was all smiles. They said he wouldn't want violence. So I think that helps a lot.
I agree. I think that's tremendous, especially when they give the sentiment of that's what Tyre would want. He'd want the peaceful protest. Make your voice be heard, but be peaceful. Do that. I love that.
And thank you for the CG as saying background. Our BG on the scene is their live streaming via YouTube. Heated Rittenhouse. We did. If I'm not following him right now, we're watching. Let's see. We were watching one of his feeds. He is there on the scene, and he filmed the other protests, which turned out to be more riots. But yeah, thank you. He's a great source there.
Right. See, I love seeing it here. Matthew Harris, again, he's obviously another Leo supporter. He's a former officer himself, and he says change has to come from the top, not within our lower ranks. So, he's on board as well.
It sounds like in this case there was maybe a bad squad. Some people have referred to as a scorpion squad that goes out and does these sting hits and grabs type things, and maybe just got too carried away in what they did. But in this case, when Tyre resisted them and then was able to break free and run and get away from a taser and everything else, they reacted wholly inappropriately.
I'm blown away that all 5 of them acted the way they did. Did they not learn anything from the Chauvin case? Things like that, speaking out or stopping or interjecting or That's what blows my mind.
And if you
Five out of
watch
five.
the pole-mounted camera, the one that was like the security camera on a telephone pole, if you watch that one, 2 other officers showed up and came rushing in, and then immediately just stepped down. It's like, oh, they've got it, you know, and just left them, continuing to, you know, they pretty much stopped at that point, but they just like, oh, I'm out of here, sort of thing. We're not going to interfere. And I'm like, no, you need to interfere. You know, if you got an officer, if you're part of the back of the blue, okay, part of the way you can support your officers is if you see your buddy, your fellow officer, who you know, is on the line with you, that's having a bad day and maybe losing it, saying, hey, step back, let me take your place, let me, you know, relax, take a breather, you know, let me fill in. Let's not let you get into trouble.
Yeah, I agree. There's a comment in here from, looks like a new member, Let It Be Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Anger is good when it inspires you to do something. And I'd venture to take a stab. That means to do something productive, do something good. And I absolutely agree. I'm a former professional athlete myself, and when you get really angry and you're playing a rival and you can channel that to go and compete and be hard, absolutely. I agree with that. It can be good if you channel it correctly.
Sounds like Vixen watched the footage and is feeling broken now. You and me both, Vixen. It breaks my heart that people can do that. That there can be that little love for your fellow man type thing that you could treat somebody that way.
Yeah. This is one of the worst I've seen in years and years.
Perry, UK True Crime says, did you notice that one of the cops take a picture of him when he was slumped against the car? Just disgusting all around. Yeah, those pictures are referred to as trophy pictures, and they are despicable.
John steering the light, gun the light.
Yeah, it's rough.
Matthew Harris with this comment as well. And again, I know he came in the chat late, but it goes back to what we said earlier. He said, here's the reality. Abuse like this doesn't just happen. They've gotten away with it more and more over the years until they were bold enough to kill. I wonder if Tyre was the first. Matthew Harris, absolutely agree. RA and I were talking earlier about the Rodney King riots when they came out. And fortunately, that was on video. Imagine what took place before video.
Yeah, and not just that, but just, you know, there are departments that don't have body camera footage. There are units that operate more undercover that don't overly look like they're police officers, and it casts doubt on all that. And most of them might be amazing people doing great things and putting their life on the line for the average citizen and just showing restraint when most of us wouldn't. But you see a couple videos like this, and then you get the public that's just upset, and that's where you get the defund the police chants. I don't think that's the answer either, but that's where it's based from. They paint everybody with the same brush, which isn't helpful.
Right, I agree. Here in my town, I live in the city limits, so our local PD kind of governs us, and they're actually great for the majority. A lot of them trained well, but our county sheriffs here are very poorly trained, and any interaction, and again, for those that have been here and been listening, you know, I'm very pro Leo. Our local county sheriffs are extremely poorly trained, very unprofessional, and I'm shocked that it's even a law enforcement agency. So I can't help to think about how many other counties or small towns around our nation have, you know, law enforcement acting or behaving or trained that way, or I should say undertrained. It's scary.
Yeah. All right, I've got a little better feed here. I think it's a duplicate. Oh, it's almost duplicate, but it's got a better camera. So let's see if I can swap out the picture on your left or out the picture on your right with this one. Hang on.
Everyone looks to be pretty peaceful to this point, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I was watching on Twitter, and Twitter has some of the harsher stuff. It's sort of raw out there. But there are people out there teaching people how to make face masks for gas. There are people that there's videos of people in Atlanta just this afternoon looting liquor stores and just filling up backpacks with bottles. It's so I'm concerned that tonight there will be some lawlessness, but I'm impressed with this group as a whole. The fact that they're quiet and listening to instructions, following instructions, working together, they're united, which is good because I think that's what's going to bring about change in their community.
Yeah, they're exercising their right the way it was proposed to be exercised. I love it.
Let's see. Michelle Johnson says, check out Bob and Pat on YouTube from Minnesota. Great YouTube channel. Is that the Live on Patrol guys? They're police officers in Minnesota on YouTube. All right.
I don't know that one. Yeah.
I like watching those. I'm going to check BG on the scene here. Let me just see what feed I can bring him in on. Hang on.
I was just reading that from CG in Texas also.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Whoop.
There we go. Skateboards. That's a bad sign. The guy right there. The skateboard is are frequently used as a weapon.
Well, they're tremendous at bashing windows when you use the front truck of the skateboard, but hopefully that's not the case. Ah, CG, it's a shield. Good call.
I'm trying to see what's on the image.
Yeah, what the writing is or the
if
message.
it's a picture or something, if it's symbolic.
Yeah. Which it could be, because it does not look like it is something that would be from a skateboard manufacturer or anything like that. It does look like it could be symbolic.
It looks
of
like
something.
a fist, a raised fist, maybe possibly.
Oh, okay, wait for it in chat. Great. Remember, Tyre was a skateboarder. This may be a memorial for him.
Yeah.
Thanks, wait for it. Yeah, a lot of people coming in with skateboarder, etc. So, and he does look like he's holding it up as if it would be a memorial of some type. So,
yeah, Brian.
That's great.
Brian,
that's great.
You're right too. That's good, as long as it's not used as a weapon to like bust out car windows and bank windows and everything else.
Right.
Bella says, just drink some spicy bourbon pickle juice for leg cramps. Hope the bourbon parts help me sleep. Unfortunately, Bella, there's not any real bourbon in there. You can't really get drunk drinking the pickle juice, but I'm a big fan of them either way.
Big thanks to some of the newer viewers in here watching the channel. I'm sure this stream probably grabbed the attention of a few others than the standard one. So welcome. Glad you're here. It's a great community, great group of people.
I'll second that. The community is fantastic. I get to be on camera side, but chat is where it's at. We do go live every day and follow true crime every weekday. So we follow court cases and police chases and things like that. But this, I thought, was too important to just let slide by.
Absolutely.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police trampled on an Indigenous lady here in Ottawa because she had a snow brush with a flag and tried to accuse her of having a weapon. Shutterbug, I watched the truck protest, the big semi-truck protest up there in Canada. I watched that with great interest. And I was disappointed in the response because that protest, although it was quite disruptive, was extremely peaceful. Seeing some of just the most amazing people, I mean, literally, dancing and clapping and just having fun. Obviously, they're protesting for change. They want change, but it was sad to see the crackdown that happened on them.
That protest was the epitome of why people say Canadians are the nicest people in the world. It was awesome. I have actually some friends up there in Tyre, and I used to live in Canada, but yeah.
Well, I've learned that my when I'm running so many wireless live streams, my switcher doesn't work very well. I have to push the button like 10 times before it before it does what I want it to do.
Fair enough. Natural Empress says, newbie here. Thanks for having me. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching.
Susan Bond says, thanks for the coverage. I live in Tennessee and didn't realize any protests were going on. Yeah, it's in Memphis. I think that's the only place you're going to see it in Tennessee. But that's where it all went down. So it's going to be pretty localized.
So it's wild. That's the same thing that I see with weather all the time, right? I see and communicate and talk to people all the time where they have an extreme tornado threat this afternoon, and we find them or reach out or talk to them, or they see a video, or people have seen me live on your channel, and I had no idea. It's wild.
Let's see. We've got someone's asking what's going on in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta mobilized the National Guard. I haven't seen a lot out of there yet. Let me just check the Twitter side first before I start jumping around on the live streams. Sorry, I've got texts on the burner phone as well. I'm just checking what I've missed.
Red Pen, I'm late. Quick recap of the protests. So there's protests in multiple cities at the moment. For the most part, the streams that RA has shown, everyone's been fairly peaceful. We've had some road blockages or bridge block, things like that, but nothing, at least on the stream, nothing of extreme violence. There's been chants and singing and things like that calling for justice for Tyre.
And what we're seeing most of is out of Memphis. Is that driver agitated there? I couldn't tell if he was for or against what they were doing.
A quick shameless update for myself, for everyone who's OCD and sees my screen, that I am not symmetrical in between my backdrop and my mirrors. That's why I've used filters in the past, because it drives me nuts too. So I will be having a green screen put up like Scott to get that all changed. So
I could actually fix it. I could change your size on my end.
It's just the way my desk sits, a lot closer to this window, so I can see out versus being too far over here. But I'll get it all switched up for all those that this drives them nuts, because it drives me nuts too.
I'm not seeing a lot out of Atlanta yet. Let me just check one more place here.
Johnny Law, if I turn my camera that way, then you'll get to see all the rest of the junk that sits in my upstairs office over there that I don't want on camera. So.
Okay, it looks like. Let me switch. There's a little bit happening in New York City. We've got a couple streams up there. Don't see any violence right now. Memphis, a couple in Memphis. Yeah, so New York and Memphis are the two spots that we've got cameras at. But the footage are dropping really quickly. Let me see if I can find. The feed's hard to find here. It's just looping. That's it. So it's not working.
Right. I'm trying to see what I could. Nope. Another replay of the body cam. Not gonna... We've got updates for snow and heavy rain, which I'm not going to bring that to the table.
Let's see, I'm finding there's supposed to be a Facebook feed out here I'm looking for right now to New York City, so give me just a second. I'll see if I can bring that in.
Okay. See if anyone's got anything in comments. Shutterbug has a sister in Iowa. That's up in Toxic Orchids neck of the woods. Shutterbug, I love Alberta. I've actually spent time up there back in the hockey days. Beautiful place, along with BC.
Let me see if I can bring in Chop Review from New York here. Switch box. Let's see, box 4 with this.
It'd be amazing if there was any helicopter footage with this.
Well, asking you shall receive. How about that?
Trying to set you up. That's a
top left corner.
That's a great feed.
Top left corner has got a problem just because they went underneath an underpass, so they lost a signal. We expect that one to come back here in just a second.
It's funny, the headline says protests held in NYC after release. It looks like a normal afternoon at NYC. People just walking down the streets. Sidewalks.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a lot of disruption. I mean, you can see the flashing lights, some officers staged and stuff, but let's see if the helicopter comes around the building here. Let me take it full screen just for a minute. We'll still be able to hear you. Trying to take it up. That's the wrong one. Let's do 5 instead. How about that? All right, so
can you hear me?
We hear the police dog, and we see New York.
No.
Fur missile. Fur missile.
No.
What's your dog's name, Weatherwatch?
Scott, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Zoom?
Sorry, I can hear you. Sorry, I'm just trying to get everyone set up here.
Yeah.
I lost one feed.
Yeah, the stream locked up. It's probably my dog's fault.
Let's see, that is that was BG on the scene that locked up. So let's see if we can get him to come back here. There we go. I don't think the numbers are there to really let it get violent at this point. In Memphis, at least. They seem spread out enough that it's all right. So unless they congregate in a big group. Let's see what BG is seeing here.
How does the stream look on your side? All right.
Buffering. How about you?
I refreshed, so I've got it's you and then the bottom left screen. Oh no, it'll just pop back up.
See, I've got a cache that's 50% full. Hang on just one second. It might just be me and you.
I think we're good now. I think we're good.